I went back and watched the intro for the last episode, and I noticed the second I hit that, we're out of focus, but both of us are bobbing our heads to the music.
I know.
It's like, oh, sweet.
I deliberately made it out of focus for that reason.
Well, awesome. Hey, this is the podcast, Small Business Talk. We have a name. That's a win. We have a name. That's awesome.
It's official.
Yeah. I'm Adam Steiner. I'm the owner of Burnham Design Co., small custom home design firm.
I'm Evan Costas, owner of Costas Restaurant Group, located here in Valparaiso, just like Adam.
Yep. Yeah. We both live in town here, love having small local businesses, and thought it'd be super fun to hang out and share our stories with all of you in the world. So today, wanted to do a deep dive on pricing. How do you know how much you're charging? What should you be charging? Just lessons we've learned in pricing. But before we get to that, a little bit of local news that happened this week that I want to pick your brain on because it affected you a lot, I would assume.
Yeah, kind of.
So Thursday morning, we got a notification from the school that a water main had broken. And it was like everything south of this line in town, you're on a boil advisory. You have to boil any water that you want to drink. It's not safe out of the tap.
Key word is advisory, not boil order. Precautionary boil advisory.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Okay.
So when I was on the city council, I toured the water plant and met with Steve, who is the director of like utilities and public works and all that. And he kind of told me like, hey, if there's a precautionary boil advisory, we have to send out those notices. It's really not like, it's not a boil order, not the same thing as a boil order. You don't have to do that. We're obligated to send out those notifications.
Oh, so it's like an abundance of caution type thing.
Yeah, but the problem was like all of my servers, at least at the breakfast places, were freaking out, and like it was like COVID had come back for a day.
Yeah.
It was like, no, it's fine. At some point I was like, I'm done talking about this. If you want to go to the store and get bottles of water, then you go right ahead. But like it's not a big deal.
Yeah, so I ate at Birdie's on Friday, which was great, by the way.
And you lived to tell about it too.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
The waitress actually told me they went out and bought bottled water and went and bought ice.
Yeah, they did.
So yeah, I'm alive. I'm here. It's nice, but just funny.
It was just so annoying, you know. Like everyone just relax. Like everyone was freaking out. My kitchen staff, they don't care. They're like, they're just reporting back to me like, hey, these people are kind of freaking out about this, So finally, Saturday morning came because it was like a 48-hour thing. Saturday morning came and everyone forgot about it until the next time. Then I saw my dad over the weekend, and he was like, "Hey, I heard there was another water main, so you might be getting another one."
Like upcoming.
Yeah,
this is awesome.
It's like once they repair it, that's when they send out the notice or something.
Right. So it's scheduled to be repaired. So nobody has a notice
that
yet.
one's supposed to be on the north side of town, so up here. So that would affect Le Peep and Lenny's and.
Oh, that makes sense that they do. Yeah.
So we'll see. He was going to get me more information on that, but
interesting. So
might have to deal with it all over again.
Awesome.
Fun stuff. Yeah. Went to the Monster Jam on Saturday.
I saw that. Oh, let's do a quick update. So, do you know your subscriber count? Have you been paying attention?
Yeah. Okay. So I feel like you need to get to like 13 or 1,200 to make it fair.
I could see that. So here's a couple things going on in my head. One, I feel like I'm fishing in a more densely packed body of water, so to speak. And like home design is very universal, whereas like restaurant.
Well, everybody is gonna move into a home at least at some point,
right? So
whether or not they can afford to build one or afford a home designer, that's one thing. My
potential audience is basically all of America, where you're talking restaurant management. That's just such a smaller subset. So your videos are, I saw the Monster Jam video and I'm like, oh crap, this is really good.
Well, part of me is like, am I doing more damage by because there is a level of like, I just want to make memories with my kid. Like I've got these cameras and stuff. Yeah. Like I just want to make some memories and keep them on YouTube, and they're not on a hard drive and they get lost, like we can look back at them whenever we want. And then the other part of it's like, well, if there's some, Monster Jam weirdos out there that like are searching for Monster Jam videos, like maybe they'll watch it and like it and subscribe. But then it's like, I'm never going to post a Monster Jam video again. So why would I even want them in my niche,
Yeah.
Like that's not my niche. So like, why even go after them?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think you could get views out of it, but not subscribers. Like I think that's something where years down the road that could accumulate views and views and views. Is when I go to like if I'm biking and I go to a new trail, I'll Google that trail and there's always one guy that did one video on it that's got 600 some views,
Yeah.
And I'm not subscribing to his channel. I just want to know about that video. So I imagine everybody that wants to buy Monster Jam tickets in the future is going to Google it, and your video is probably going to rank pretty highly. If it's Monster Jam Chicago, there's not much out there that's competing with that.
And I can edit pretty quickly. So like part of my thinking was, well, if I just put this video together tonight and throw it up there, someone might search that went the night before and was like, oh, there's somebody already made a video, like, I'm more likely to check it out as opposed to like the middle of summer when Monster Jam's probably not even going on. I don't know. But
yeah, right.
So getting more into the YouTube stuff has been interesting over the last few weeks. So like I've been doing a lot of experimenting because I not only do and this might be a conversation for another topic, but we're talking about it. So I'll keep it short. So like I kind of feel like as what I'm also doing the reels or like the shorts, which is like would appeal to a wider base because people like food and it's not just talking about how to manage and
it's
own
more
restaurants.
Baking content is also cooking content is also extremely universal.
So I have to pepper some of that stuff in.
Yeah,
I can't just do like. But what I found, at least on the video that I posted, I think it was yesterday, that I kept it really short. It was like 15 seconds, and I labeled it as like 15-second food. So I think all of my shorts are going to be, maybe I'm going to call them 15-second food and then say what it is. Because now it's going into their mind like, oh, this is short. It's 15 seconds. I can watch the whole thing. And I noticed that my watch percentage of like watch time, how you can see like, 8%, they stuck around for 8% of the time. On this one, it was 140%.
Dang.
So they're like watching it again.
Yeah, that's one of the most, and again, we can talk social media another day, but that's one of the most key metrics in all these platforms is watch time.
Right.
You don't lie with your eyeballs and your time. So all these apps know that if people are spending time on it, it's a good video.
Yeah. So that kind of changed my thinking is not only like keeping it really short so it keeps their attention because I'm already kind of doing it in slow motion for a number of reasons. But if I can still make it quick cuts and short and keep the whole thing into 15 seconds, and it might not look as cinematic, but you're getting it out to more people because the higher watch time you have, I think it boosts in the algorithm to where it's you get to once you get to like the 500 views, then it's like the next tier, So this one is at like 11 or 1200 right now, which normally my shorts are 500. So it made a difference, but it's just a lot of experimentation right now, as probably you're seeing. You're probably doing different types of experimentation.
Yeah, I've had some similar thoughts, though. I listened to a podcast about YouTubing. One of the things they said with like titles and thumbnails is use the simplest words. Like we all kind of have the baseline brain that we operate on, the caveman brain almost.
Yeah.
And if you can use the simplest words in your titles and thumbnails, those will usually have better conversion than if you try to be eloquent with it. So I tried a couple ones I'm testing now. I redid my thumbnail on one. It was like the thumbnail originally said, get this right. And then it was 5 measurements for your kitchen or something. I changed it to kitchen perfect, kitchen period, perfect period. Just let's get something really simple and see if that does conversion. And then I posted another video.
Did you notice a difference?
No. So that thumbnail's only been up for like 24 hours.
Okay.
That video, when I first posted it, it did super well. Exceeded all my watch time numbers. Retention was like 40% through the whole thing. It was a 6-minute video. Got like 2,000 impressions the first 48 hours. I'm like, awesome, this is going to go crazy. And then completely flatlined. Like it's had 7 people watch it in the last 3 days. So I'm like, oh crap. I don't know, tweaking stuff and all that.
Yeah.
I tried another one though where it's just island size for 6 people. Because again, I feel like that's a phrase that's going to get Googled a lot. Whereas I've posted.
I feel like if you're interested in island size, you're just gonna like YouTube best island size.
So I've posted a lot like that. I have a similar video, very similar content.
Like
where
6 people is kind of specific.
Yeah. But I've also posted a video for best island size. You know, I've posted a lot of stuff like that too. So I'm trying to contrast and compare. Is the specificity helpful?
Yeah.
Or is it, best island size? I don't know.
But that's the fun thing is like you just experiment, you know? I mean,
Yeah.
it takes time to make a video, but like we're apparently able to find some time to do it. And there, you know, you might as well experiment and see what gets like the most results, you know, the best results.
Yeah, for sure. So back to our competition. I think I'm okay changing the numbers somewhat. Like if I have to go to 1,200 or whatever, that's fine because I did have a head start.
Yeah, I'm so to answer your question, I'm at like 58 right now.
Okay, I'm at 298 when I checked this morning.
Yeah, yours have been going up.
Yeah, so I've been posting
and
more
I feel like
shorts,
we are working about equally as hard on that. Maybe you're have a little bit more time to do that than I do, but I'm able to post a lot of these little reels at least.
Well, another thing that's maybe a little bit unfair for you is I have this whole backlog library of stuff that I know has worked on Instagram and TikTok that, it doesn't work as well on YouTube Shorts, but I know, okay, I haven't posted any of those on YouTube Shorts, so I have 100-some videos that I can rifle through and keep posting. So, that'll help with subscribers too. So.
Yeah.
But we'll keep talking about it. We'll keep you all updated as we're going along. We'll do a deep dive episode on social media or something.
Yeah.
I mean, social media and YouTube, I think, could be 2 different episodes. But
right.
Pricing. Let's switch
gears.
Tracks. Gears. Switch gears. There we go. That's the word. I'm so curious how you price something. We shared our questions ahead of time just so we could think about it a little bit. But your pricing structure seems so different than what I do. Is it like market-based or percentage-based? Like, I mean, are you just comparing what will they pay for a similar dish down the road? And
it's a little bit of both, but it's percentage. So
are you like a lot of builders with their options and upgrades, they'll be like, we want to make X% on everything we.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
you're thinking that.
Yeah, depending on the concept. I have a video on my YouTube that kind of goes into this a little bit more, but like basically depending on the type of concept that you're doing, you have a food cost goal percentage. So for breakfast it's going to be low. Like your goal is going to be like 21%, 22%.
They're lower per meal?
Well, what do you mean?
So like breakfast is intentionally lower than lunch.
Well, you have a better opportunity to make more money in breakfast.
Oh, just volume.
But you're charging less, but the food cost, the ingredients cost you less.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah, I got you. Yep, I'm with you.
So you want to be at like 21% for that. For pizza, you can kind of be in the low 20s as well, maybe low to mid 20s. At Burger House, you're probably in like the 28 to 30% range, just because you're dealing with more proteins, which are more expensive than dough.
Yeah.
So, and then same with Brick Street. Brick Street, I'd like to be at like 26, 27, but that one's usually 28, 29. And then when we own the Dish, which is now Birdie's, when we changed locations, that was fine dining. It's a little bit less fine dining where we are now and how we do things intentionally, just based on like the market that we're in. Like fine dining is kind of tough in a smaller market.
It's still upscale.
Yeah,
but
it's
not,
upscale.
Yeah.
So we have some like fine dining dishes that we brought over from Dish, the restaurant, and so a lot of times you're like 30 to 35%. The nice thing with Birdie's is like one side is breakfast and lunch. So all in, my goal is like 26 to 27% because I can charge more at night. My food cost might not be as low on those items.
Yeah.
Because they're just more expensive ingredients. But then I've got breakfast and lunch in the morning where I can not charge. I don't charge as much for those items, but I can have a lower food cost percentage, so it kind of balances out around 26, 27. So yeah, it fluctuates, but But basically, you just take the ingredient. Like I have a program that I use, and I upload all the ingredients, and we build out the recipe. How many ounces of this go in this dish?
Oh, that's super cool. So do you know exactly how much each dish costs? Like on a plate?
Yeah, I mean, I would have to pull up my computer.
Yeah. No, not at the top of your head, but that's cool.
But yeah. I mean, it's a science, and you have to know.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're like, okay, well, our competitors are charging this amount. I can't make 24% on this item. I don't feel comfortable raising the price on that one.
Interesting.
Or maybe you just make smaller increments. You go up 25 cents instead of $1 on certain things, so you're like getting to where you want to be.
Does that push you to incentivize like a more specific menu items that competitors aren't copying and like is that the core drive to be more unique in your food offering? Because like Le Peep is a breakfast place, but it's not. There's a lot of stuff on the Le Peep menu that you can't really get anywhere else in town. Mm-hmm. There's a pretty unique. It's not like crazy out of this world stuff, but there's a unique spin on almost everything on the menu.
Yeah,
where you can't go to Denny's and grab that, or another breakfast diner across town and grab that exact thing.
Yeah.
Like how intentional is that, or is it just the chefs want to have fun and is it pricing based? I guess what I'm asking.
Yeah, I mean, I think those are kind of two separate topics, but I think with specials, and offering new exciting things, like you have an opportunity to increase your price because it's not on the menu and it's like something you've come up with on your own. You can be a little bit more creative. We're at Le Peep, we're going off of a corporate menu for the most part.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
So we've added some of our own stuff to that, but we're kind of going off of they give us the playbook, and honestly, like that's helped us at all of our other restaurants because of the systems. Like I was never in the restaurant industry before we started Le Peep. I just graduated college, so like I had to learn everything through them. So I trained at their location in Evanston, and just went through that whole process, learned a ton, but like I've taken that knowledge and that's allowed me to do some of these other restaurants, which has been super helpful.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff about the corporate world I can't stand and drives me crazy.
Yeah.
But my job in Minnesota, I was, as far as builders go, very corporate. And I learned a ton from that structure and just like how a builder as a corporation operates is so much different than builder and pickup truck. And there's a ton that goes into it. One of the questions I'm like most interested in asking you is like in the restaurant industry, there are different, almost like psychology techniques in what we do to like make the perceived value higher or not feel quite as like expensive, So on certain menus, maybe you don't use a dollar sign, or maybe the old 99 cent trick. Yes. Yep.
Maybe you have a higher priced menu item that is not going to get ordered a lot, that is intentionally providing some sticker shock, and then they go to the next item that's like it's still kind of expensive, but you're making good food cost on it, and you kind of want to drive them to that menu item,
Yeah.
And then if they order the expensive thing, then it's like, it's great. We have a beef Wellington on our menu downtown that's like not cheap. It's really good. It's not our best seller, but like it does get ordered, and it's great when it does because it's, $60, but it's a filet, but it's also driving them to like other items that are good sellers, good food cost items for us. And so is there something, are there psychology techniques in what you do?
Yeah, there's a handful we talk about in my mastermind group. I'm in a mastermind group with a bunch of other like architect and engineering firm owners. One thing I haven't gotten to yet, I'm really trying to wrap my brain around. So everybody is pushing me toward a tiered proposal. So instead of saying this is, hey, we had our first meeting, this is the job as I see it, and here's how much it costs, you send back a proposal with 3 tiers.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the baseline, the most basic thing of what we talked about that could really answer your problem, so to speak. Here's the mid tier. This is more of a complete package, and then here's the deluxe tier. This has everything in it. What I'm struggling with though is like I don't feel like I have enough. I don't know. I don't feel like I have enough differentiation in what I do to really bin things into 3 tiers like that. Like I feel like I'd be stretching.
Well, you do like the renderings. I mean,
yeah. Yep.
I don't know if that's kind of what you're.
Yeah,
thinking
that's
about,
part of
just
it.
Add-ons.
And maybe that's lives in the deluxe tier, and the basic tier is it doesn't even have a permit drawing or something.
Yeah,
It's just
it'd be
concept work.
interesting, like if you offered a package where you give them a certain amount of on-site visits.
Oh yeah.
And walk them through the process and work with the contractor, and you like charge a ton for it. It'd be interesting if people would take you up on that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
I
you
should
just put it out there.
Yeah.
And then like if it's $20,000 or something,
Yeah.
maybe one person a year might take you up on that. And it's like, okay, I got to fly to Texas like once every few months for the next year.
Yeah.
To walk them through this process, but like I'm being compensated for it, and it's worth it, Mm-hmm. But they won't take you up on it if it's not an option on your website,
Yeah.
And that's something that your dad. I mean, you'll probably want to talk about this, but that's something that your dad with Steiner Homes has led to their success or helped them be successful. Is like being very transparent with their pricing on their website, and I feel like a lot of times people just kind of hide that information. They want to develop the relationship and like, well, what are you looking for? And not be like completely open, where he just like lists it on there like you're buying a shirt,
Yeah. They operate much more like a car company would, where you look up a Toyota or Honda or whatever. You can see the base price online, and then you build and price your car. And you get to include all the options and stuff. And that's how their process works. And yes, I think people love the transparency of it, and having a proposal. So many builders, it's crazy how many builders don't line item pricing. Mm-hmm. They'll say, okay, yep, it costs $700,000 or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they've never done that. They've always line itemed. I line item stuff a lot. I still do bulk pricing, like your whole job will cost this, and this is the deposit. But I do line item everything that's included. I think that's part of the psychology, is I want to be clear on what they're getting, and everything that I list on that is a perceived value to them. So it feels like, but most drafters and architects do some sort of a proposal. Mm-hmm. I try and keep mine cleaner and simpler than most I see. A lot of them have a lot of like long paragraphs. There'll be 6 pages. I'm like, no, it's going to be 1 page. Like I have to keep it at 1 page. In order to be successful with it.
Yeah, I think you want to, just in everything, you want to keep it as simple as possible.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I was talking to my dad about this yesterday. I feel like he was talking about his experience going to T-Mobile for a new, I don't know, whatever, a new phone or something. And what we landed on was like, he's a lawyer and he was having a hard time understanding what they were even selling him. All this documentation that he had read, and we kind of landed on like, I think they're literally trying to confuse you to the point of like, fine, I'll do that, like just throwing so much information at you to where you're confused and overwhelmed or frustrated that you just end up signing out so you can get out of there.
Yeah, I think car companies do that too.
Yeah.
If you go to like an auto dealer, I think that is their strategy.
And maybe you can get away with it in an industry where like they're only coming in once every 2 or 3 years to buy a phone, or once every 5 to 10 years to buy a car. Like, who cares?
Yeah, and there's not that much competition. Yeah,
but at least in my industry, they wouldn't keep coming back if they like. Every time I go there, I'm so confused. They're like rattling off all these specials, and it's just like I just want to eat and get out of there.
Yeah, right.
So,
I've heard people buy what they know.
Yeah.
So explain it for them. So yeah, I try and do that as much as I can. I think too, something that plays into it is there's like the utility of the product. And we're both kind of in this industry somewhat, where there are plenty of people out there in the world that do not want to pay for the cheapest option of a thing, especially a custom floor plan. I think there are people that, oh, I just need a permit, I just need a plan, want to pay for the cheapest option. There's plenty of that. But there's, I'd say, tons and tons of people where almost the more expensive, the better, because it's a perceived that you're working with a better person. You're working with someone more talented or, just has better offering or something.
Yeah.
And so I wonder that, like, I think of like date night. When you take someone out on a date, you want it to be more expensive because the date feels more special.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
And so I do wonder if my pricing like could just be higher because people want to feel like it's higher. They don't. I mean, there are architects that charge $1 million for a house.
Crazy.
It is kind of wild. I can't imagine getting the value out of that.
Yeah, I think there are things that you could do to justify price increases, whether it's like having so much of a presence on social media or YouTube to where people kind of think like, I'm working with this like almost like a celebrity, you know? So like you have that. If your website is like super clean and looks really expensive, you're giving people the perception that they're dealing with someone that like really knows what they're doing.
Yeah. I've explored with changing my pricing. I've actually changed my pricing a lot since I started.
Does it fluctuate a lot where it goes up and then down? Because like, hey, I want more business. I'm just going to lower it for the next like 6 months and see.
No, not really. There are times where I've given just somebody needs something quick and I've given kind of a basic number, but I've told the builders I work with, like, this is what I'll do all your drawings for the year. And that's 80% of my work, right? Maybe a little less than that, but, and so locking in those prices, I've gone up some. I haven't changed that in a little while. Actually, I think I need to, because nobody says no.
Yeah.
I get very, very few people that balk or push back on the price or I lose because of the pricing. And I've heard that's bad, like that's a sign that you are too low. If literally everybody's like, yeah, sounds good. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I could be charging more. Cause yeah, if I'm charging double and getting half the clients, that's way better life for me. It's half the work. But I've always, I don't know, maybe I'm too in my head about it, but I don't ever want to rip somebody off. And I don't ever want to feel like I'm ripping somebody off. So I've been really slow to increase my pricing.
Where it's interesting because like with your industry, you're almost basing what you can charge based off of like your living expenses because your costs don't really go up. You have your computer programs.
Compared to you, my costs are nothing.
Yeah. Right. So like I can justify it in the sense that like, yeah, I don't want to rip someone off, but we have a percentage goal and we're going to try and maximize get as much money as we can out of our customers without like, we don't want to cheat them or do something like
right.
immoral, but we need to be at this percentage, and that's the goal because we've got note payments we have to make, we've got employees we have to pay. And so we need to make money, So, so you don't really have that where it's like, well, gas went up and the price of our grocery bill went up, so I got to charge more,
Yeah.
Which like you can charge whatever you want, but like that's how you're justifying it is like, are my living expenses going up?
Yeah. And I often wonder too, I think a lot of people equate my work with my time, which is fine. I get that. But I worry that if I work with somebody and I have 8 meetings, and it takes us a long time to dial in the floor plan, that feels like they got good value from me because I spent a lot of time on their project. But I want to argue the opposite, where if I'm really good at what I do and we meet one time and I have the floor plan 98% there in the first draft, I think that's more valuable.
Yeah.
And that's way less time. But that's because I've been working at this 20 years. I've heard hundreds of people describe their homes. And so when you're describing these things, I'm already seeing a floor plan in my head. And that doesn't just happen overnight. Like, it's because I've been doing this my whole life.
Right.
But that's hard to justify to people. I still feel like there's a stigma there about like spending the right amount of time for the project that they're gonna pay for it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe not everybody.
And you don't do it based off of like time. You do
No,
it,
no,
it's
I
like
don't.
a package deal. So some projects are like, okay, I don't know if that one was worth it because I had X amount of hours into it.
Right. I do all flat fee. Back to what people buy what they know. I don't want my clients to do math. And a lot of architects and drafters charge a per square foot price. Even that little step of making them get out a calculator and add up, or have to think through, if we bump this room out and add 50 square feet, I got to add him another check because he's going to charge whatever for those 50 square feet. Like, I don't want my clients to have to do that. That seems dumb to me. And then charging hourly, I think is awful. You're forcing someone you have no relationship with to say, trust me, I'm going to track my time good.
Yeah. And it's like every little email question, like, did you bill me for like 5 minutes for that response or did you bill me for an hour?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, I think we've all had experiences like that where it's like you're at least wondering, you know,
Yeah.
when I send this email, like, how much am I getting charged for this email?
Exactly. And I don't want my clients to feel like that either. Like, I'm going to design your house enough to get a permit. Here's what's included. This is what it costs. And I think that has greatly helped my close rate.
Yeah. I would think so, for sure.
And I think that's kind of rare in my industry, and I don't know why. Like, I get there's a lot of stuff that comes up, and I'm dealing with a project now in a community here that's got a really strict board. Well, not strict. They don't really understand the drawings and want a ton of extra stuff on these floor plans. So I'm spending a ton of extra time to get this client a permit. Yes, my rate of what I'm making per hour I'm spending on it is much lower, but still it's like, suck it up. These are going to even out. If you do flat fee pricing, these are going to even out over a year. That's an outlier. I have the outliers on the other end where I don't spend as much time, you know?
Yeah. Well, at the very least, I would think to go up a certain percentage, even if it's just a small amount once a year, and you just have in the back of your mind, like, this is what we go up 3% every year, or whatever the number is, then you can almost use that as a tactic. Like when you've got people hitting you up in December or November, it's like, okay, well, we are going up 3%. We go up 3% every year. It's just what we do, you know?
Yeah.
And then, I mean, you got to go up something, you know? It's like every time I have a tenant move out of my apartment, I try to, and even if they're renewing, I try to go up like at least 3% on the rent, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, this is the most inflation we've ever seen in our lives too. Like everything, my wife is always like, we can't get groceries. You know, we used to get groceries for our family for like $600 a month. She's like, we're not even close to that anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
No, it's crazy.
It is. So yeah, I guess it's the most reasonable time to do it. I don't know why I haven't pulled the trigger, but
yeah,
I just haven't. I need to.
Well, something good came from this podcast.
Yeah. Hey, gotta charge more.
Prices are going up.
Prices are going up. One thing I'm most curious with you, because you probably deal with this more than I do. Do you get customer complaints on pricing, and how do you deal with those?
I mean, sometimes I don't really hear a lot of that because I'm not typically like managing shifts. I will do some of that.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say that like I'm the first person that they're going to complain to if there's an issue. So like, do I hear about that on Google, on our Google reviews, or feedback from managers or servers? Not a ton. You know, I think people know like the food prices have gone up, like egg prices and all that have been crazy.
Yeah.
So I think they're justifying like, okay, it's going to be more expensive than it was 2 years ago. Like, do you want to go out to eat or not? You know, it's not going to be like $20 for a family to go out to eat.
Yeah.
You know, so they kind of know like it's probably going to be in the 50, 60 range at least, like for breakfast and lunch if you're You're bringing a family in, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't think we don't get a ton of complaints.
Yeah.
I think it's a good market too. Like if anything, we might have more of that in our Cherville location, our Burger House Cherville.
Oh yeah, right.
Just because it's, you know, you're closer to like Chicago. It's a melting pot out there.
Yeah, there's a lot more people.
So there's a lot
of
money, you know, but there's also like some a little bit poorer areas, and it's just a mixture, you know. Where Valpo, we're kind of insulated a little bit. I mean, it is, you know, you have all types of people here too. But if anything, I would say we hear it more there. But it's not bad. It's always in the back of my mind though, like because we do price increases at least once a year.
Okay.
More so at the like at La Peep, it's based on how our menu looks. We have more of that like 25 cent, 75 cent, 95 cent menu pricing. Whereas like Burger House, I try to keep it even numbers next door, and Birdie's kind of too. I try to keep them 50 cents or $1, like not do all the random 95 cent pricing. So I don't do those ones as much because it's very easy for me to print new menus off and just go up from 25 to 75 cents, and it doesn't really look a whole lot different. So you can do that more frequently.
Yeah.
At some of the other restaurants, it's a little bit harder to do that. So I would say like we just did a menu price increase in January. So we rolled them out everywhere it was done by February. So yeah, we do that, you know, at least once a year, and then sometimes more often, just depending on what, you know, where our numbers are at. And we do our financials every month. So I like once I get my inventory done and entered into QuickBooks, then I know what I'm at, you know. Mm-hmm. It's delayed a few weeks because I don't finish the financials right away. It takes a few weeks to get all the bills in and everything, but we can at least look back on the previous month and see like what has the trend been? Has it been creeping up, and do we need to look at this?
Yeah. Have you ever tracked it close enough where you've seen a change in price affect traffic? Are there just too many variables to?
No, I wouldn't say that. I would say we definitely notice seasons of busier business and slower business. Yeah. Like since it was super stressful in October when we opened Birdie's, and like our bank account was down to next to nothing because that was so expensive. And then like the business wasn't, it was okay. If we hadn't opened Birdie's, we'd have a lot more money in the bank, and it would be a slower season, you know, but we wouldn't be as stressed out about it. We were like, where is everybody? Like this is, you know, and then we got into the Christmas season and people were going out again. It was like, all right. And part of the stress was we didn't have a full month of financials for Birdie. So I was like, I have no idea. Like this is our volume. Our labor cost seems high. I have no idea what our food cost is at, other than like the math that we've done. Yeah. You know, like we projected what it would be, but we didn't have the hard financials to like, okay, this is what it is, you know? So that was stressful, you know, but I think it definitely can in certain markets, you know, especially depending on like the competition. If there's like 10 burger places and they're like, well, there's that $12 burger is just as good as that $16 burger. I think it can impact it, but in this size of community, I don't think it makes a huge difference. I think other factors make a bigger difference. Like, is it the cool place to go? Are they top of mind? Is it convenient?
Yeah.
You know, the pricing plays a factor. Is the pricing reasonable? You know? So yeah, I would say like time of the year and what the economy is doing plays a bigger role in how busy we are.
Yeah. Unrelated, but I'm curious, what are your busiest and slowest months?
It depends. So like it's super random. At least this part is, but like in Cherville, it's like March is our busiest month, which makes like 0 sense. I think in Lake County, they have a lot of festivals in the summer. You would think like summer's the busiest time. Yeah. And that's kind of how it is in Valpo. Like downtown, especially, it's going to be really busy with like concerts in the park and all the stuff going on down there.
Yeah, you get a lot of literal foot traffic.
But up on the north side of town, we've got pretty big parking lots. So like we have a lot of business lunches. So yeah, it is generally a lot busier in the summer. Okay. And then like January, it's like, especially if you get snow, like I pray for 0 snow.
Oh yeah. I mean, it makes sense. You just don't want to go out.
It makes things slow. You have to worry about your roofs. Are they going to leak? Because once your roofs ice up, it's like, look out, you know, with the ice dams and everything. So So we worry about that. Snowplow bills are super expensive.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's always to the point where it's like January. At the end of January, like, should we just buy a snowplow?
Yeah.
like 15 grand in like snowplow bills this month. You know,
That's crazy.
It's out of control.
It's weird to have expenses.
Yeah, I know.
You'd be so jealous if you saw mine. It's like insurance. Insurance is the biggest single ticket I pay for every year, and you would laugh if you saw my insurance bill. So much.
Yeah, what are
lower.
you insuring? Like your
It's errors and
office space?
omissions.
Okay.
So yeah, just
that makes
like
sense.
if I really screw something up on a plan, though,
Yeah.
hopefully some coverage there.
Yeah.
Knock on wood. But yeah, then like software super cheap. Buy a computer and you're off and running. Like
Yeah.
it's not. It's funny.
Yeah. So you said customers don't really balk at your pricing.
No, very little. I've had a handful. So I've experimented. And yeah, I guess this is fine saying. I've experimented some with what I'll call like the social leads. So if I get a lead from TikTok or Instagram that's not in this market, I'm like, let's see what my value actually is, and I'll experiment with a price. I've had a handful of people.
So they can't look on you don't post your pricing on your website
No, I
to
don't
where
have
they
that-
can look at it.
I don't have. That's the one thing holding me back is it's so market based.
Yeah.
Like
If you were Justin Valpo, maybe it'd be different.
Yeah. If I just did Northwest Indiana, I think I would have pricing on my website. Because the permits and everything is very, very similar. But like,
Yeah.
I did a job in Colorado where the board review and permit approval is just different. Like they require a 3D video fly through of the exterior of the house that matches the color selections as part of the developer approval. I've never been anywhere that requires that.
Yeah.
So that's my pricing is going to be drastically different. And if I gave them my Indiana pricing, everybody would use me all the time because it's just 4x lower than anybody they can find out there because the cost of living is so high. So, so the markets are so different. And yeah, if I get a social lead, I'll just kind of guess at it and just float a price out there that, is maybe slightly pushing. It's kind of like those incremental increases you're talking about. Like I'm incrementally increasing. And I'll have a handful of people from there that goes to me, and I'm assuming it's price related, but maybe not all the time that, they don't get back to me. I think also I communicate my price really early. I know this is not, maybe not the greatest sales strategy to just say in that very first communication, hey, my price ranges from X to Y.
Yeah.
But I get enough leads on the social side that I'm fine to do it because I'd rather just, if they're not interested in paying that much for a drawing, like we don't need to talk. And so
it would be interesting though if you could like leave the door open a little bit when you give them a price, but you're like, hey, sometimes I have customers that like need a lot with like you don't want to make them feel like they're needy, but like going to city meetings and there's unforeseen extra demands on me that we find out later in the process. And if that's the case, there might be an additional charge.
Yeah.
Like if you said something like that up front, it might be like, okay, but most of the time that doesn't happen. You kind of assure them like, I don't want, but it's just your time. It's like if you're spending all these extra hours with one client, which is not the norm,
right? It's
like, at least you said something. And even if you decide not to charge them or charge them less, like, hey, typically this would be an extra, $2,000, but how about $500 and we'll call it even just for the extra
then
time
I'm the good
involved.
guy. I'm their hero. Yeah. Or maybe it's more reason to get a tiered proposal together, and then I could just send that to people. Then my pricing doesn't look crazy because there's options there.
Right. So yeah, sometimes like in our field, we kind of talked about this, but like we're so big on presentation, like especially at next door downtown, just because it's like more expensive food, but we're so hypercritical of our own presentation because of the perceived value. When you're charging a certain amount, a beautifully plated dish, people have a easier time sometimes like paying for that, you know? So I think just how you present your product, I think is really important, you know? And it might not be as important at other places where you're not charging as much.
Yeah.
You know, it's all about cranking out food as fast as you can.
Yeah.
But like the details, I've talked a lot about the details on previous episodes, but like even behind the bar, you know, if you're charging $12 for a cocktail, it's like make it the right way, the proper way, and don't like just shake everything.
Yeah.
You know, because they're looking and they're paying for an experience too. You know?
Yeah. Right. All right.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Have you ever tried switching gears? Unless you had more to say.
No.
Have you ever tried to sell something digital?
Just gift cards.
Just gift cards?
Yeah.
Or any like product.
So this is kind of interesting. Not any product. I would say like in the past we've sometimes sold like Burger House shirts and hats. When we first opened, we just threw them on our website, and occasionally you get a sale. But like we're not, you know, I feel like we're not cool enough to like people want our T-shirts and you know like. So, but we do. One thing that we do, which is pretty interesting, is I learned this from my uncle. But on Black Friday, we sell gift cards, and we add an extra 50% to every gift card sale for that day only. So it was this year was the first year. This 2024 was the first year that we had a gift card with all of the restaurant logos on them. So you could buy the gift card at any restaurant. You can redeem it at any restaurant. And on Black Friday, if you buy $100, you get a $150 gift card.
That's awesome.
We've actually we've tried it different ways over the last 10 years where we've discounted it by 33%. You know, like you're giving them the same deal, but you're trying to like make it as simple for your employees that day as possible, because it's like, okay, I got to add this extra amount on and then discount it off. But we found that that's the most effective way to do it is add. I think it sounds good. Add 50%.
Yeah.
You know, so.
That sounds way better than reduced by 33.
Right. 33% off. Yeah.
Yeah. It's more math and it's a smaller number.
Yeah. And you get more in sales volume. You know, like they're spending $100. As opposed to getting a $100 gift card, now they're spending, you know, 70.
Gift cards have to be an awesome model.
It's fantastic. So like we sold a ton.
Yeah.
And it was our best year ever. I'm not going to say what the number was, but you know, it's something like 60% of gift cards don't get redeemed or something like that.
Yeah, there's only two options. You don't spend all of it or forget about it completely, which is just 100% profit for you guys. Or you go and you spend way more.
Yeah.
You know, like those are the only two things that happen.
And on top of that, it's a marketing tool. So like if someone's giving a gift card as a gift and they've never been to any of your restaurants, you're getting them in the door. And that's part of the reason that we do
double your reach.
Part of the reason we do DoorDash is because like we don't make a ton of money on it. We don't lose money on DoorDash, but it's just marketing. It's just getting in front of new people.
Yeah. Wow.
So sometimes
I hadn't thought about that like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And now we've gotten DoorDash. DoorDash is a lot better to work with now because if they charge 15% commission, I can upcharge 15% to where I'm not losing money. The menu pricing looks higher on their website, and I look at it sometimes. I'm like, geez, $20 for a burger is what it comes out to. Like, is anyone buying this? But they are, you know, and people pay for the convenience.
We DoorDash Burger House.
Really?
Yeah. We do it a lot.
Is it $20 for a burger? I was looking at it last week. I was like, is this what it really is? Because
I don't know that it's quite that. I mean,
we charge like $15 for a basic burger or something like that.
It's hard to tell what's the DoorDash fee and what the actual like menu. We don't look that closely at it.
Yeah.
But like it's kind of
so.
Our
What
go-to.
was your perspective then? Was it like, geez, I don't know, do we want to do that? Because everything on DoorDash, like I don't DoorDash a lot, but like an occasional late night Taco Bell, you know. And then like you're spending a lot more than what you would in the store. And my perspective has been like, well, I do it like once a month, if that. Like I'm hungry right now.
Yeah, we don't DoorDash all the time. It's usually for more special occasions or like the kids have a day off, big long weekend, or like my birthday, we ordered from Burger House. I'm like, I just want to sit on my couch and watch football.
Yeah.
And I love Burger House. So that's what we're going to do on my birthday is DoorDash it. And so when it's a birthday meal, you're not thinking, oh, is it
right.
is it $60 for the family or $80 for family? You don't really.
It's my birthday.
Yeah, right. It's my birthday. I'm going to get what I want.
Yeah.
So
No,
it doesn't come into.
It's interesting to
factor.
me though, because like sometimes things do feel quite a bit more expensive on DoorDash. And
Oh, definitely. We don't ever DoorDash cheap stuff. Like,
well, that's what I'm saying is like, if you don't DoorDash the cheap stuff, if you're DoorDashing a burger and fries and it's quality, then like I don't know. It feels like, why would you do that? I mean, I don't want to stop you from doing that. Please keep doing that. But like,
I mean, sometimes we do carry out too. It just depends.
It's just
who's...
no. It's not the price. It's the price in conjunction with the loss of quality in the 15 minutes or 20 minutes that it's sitting. Like now your fries are soggier. Now they're not as hot. If you have an air fryer, I don't have one, but maybe those work better for heating things up. But if you're microwaving,
they're awesome.
If you microwave, it's not improving the quality. It's just gonna get soggier. Right. So, I don't know. I'm always just thinking about that. Like we do a fair amount of DoorDash sales, and I'm just surprised that people continue to order as much as they do.
Yeah, pizza's really the only thing you can deliver and have it be near restaurant quality.
Yeah, and even the pizza here is so thin that it's really not like football pizza. You know, like it's
gonna cool down and
I mean, you could throw it in the oven and heat it up, and it's pretty good, but it's not like a big cheesy mess that you want to stuff your face with.
Yeah,
that's still hot when you get it. You know? And burritos travel well too, so we do a lot of DoorDash there. But that's just I think that does kind of relate to what we're talking about just in terms of pricing, because that's a whole separate program or platform. Yeah, that like I have some control over it, but like they upcharge what they upcharge for their service.
Well, to me, it feels like because we're buying a more premium product on DoorDash instead of a McDonald's or a Burger King, the DoorDash fees are a smaller percentage of what we end up getting. There's 5 people in my house now, so then like the delivery fee and tipping the driver doesn't seem as hefty as it would if you're going to go to McDonald's and spend $4 on a burger. Yeah. It's like, okay, that's $10 now. Yeah. Do I really want to pay $10 for a McDonald's burger? No. But it's just a smaller percentage of what I think, if the math works out like that, or what we'd get at something like Burger House. Yeah. I sell a little bit of digital stuff. And there is
like your plans.
No, I do want to get to selling digital plans. It's been an insurance thing. We can talk about it another time, but it's annoying. Yeah, I would love to sell digital plans. I sell a floor plan guide right now. So it's, I put like 40 rooms that are chopped up from plans that I use all the time. So it's like just a powder bathroom or just a master bath or whatever. And it shows you all the dimensions of it. So like my most common layouts, for like people that are designing their first house or beginning architects and stuff. I've had some sales on it. There's nothing that feels better than when you get a sale in the middle of the night. Like you get an email, it's not a lot. Like I make $40 on each one, but it feels really, really cool when you're like
I didn't do anything for that.
I know. And you did that. Like passive income is a myth, but it's still really exciting. That feels way better than signing a client. Maybe not way better, but it feels almost as good to get a PDF sale.
It's like you won the lottery, like a little lottery ticket.
Yeah, it does. It does feel like free money too. Like, oh, I'm gonna
found $40 in my pocket.
Yeah, I'm gonna go buy some gear.
So that's all you sell?
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I want to get into selling. I experimented with selling like a hoodie, but I sold literally none of them.
Yeah. I don't know what I could sell, like a restaurant startup guide, but like, do I really want to take the time into like building that? In the case that like 3 people buy it for $50, you know?
What I even learned is the audience itself it's not going to sell itself based on an audience. So I've even built up some followers on both Instagram and TikTok, and even that's not enough to just like passively sell something. Like if you want to passively sell something just by links, you need to be pounding it. like call to actions on almost every video, daily videos, that kind of stuff. And I just never wanted to. I don't want to be PDF salesman with my career. Like I still want to design
Nobody
houses.
wants to be that guy. You're always hitting the next 30 seconds on the video. You know, like skip ahead.
Yeah.
Let's get to the good stuff.
So yeah, I've learned kind of the hard way. It's harder than it looks to sell something online, even if like I feel like this is really good info. And I met with an architect buddy on Friday that does more commercial stuff than residential, and he wanted to pick my brain about a layout. And so he asked me, I'm like, hey, have you seen my floor plan guide? You should pull it up. Because he's a friend, I just gave it to him. Like this has the exact sizing you need for these bathrooms and stuff. Like for residential, just what feels good. Like I think this is legit a good thing. It's just it's hard to sell.
You could. I was looking at YouTube last night, and like on your channel page, you know how some people have like a trailer video. You could at least put it on there.
Yeah,
like
that's a good
someone
idea.
seeing your page for the first time, you're explaining what your content is, and by the way, here's something that I sell.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. I should do that.
Yeah.
Do you have any ideas for me if I were to sell? Like, is it possible for my industry to sell a air quotes gift card or something like that, or even a Black Friday deal? Like, is that even possible in my world? Do you think?
Yeah. I think so. Like, do you know? On let's say Black Friday's coming up. Do you know someone that wants to build a home in 2025 or 2026? Prices are going up in 2026, but I'm offering a discount on my 2025 pricing.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah.
If you sign on now, like if whether it's you or someone you know, I mean, a lot of times people buy gift cards in the restaurants on Black Friday for themselves. So they might be like, well, let's just lock in at this and maybe, and you can maybe not make it expire ever. You might have to say like, depending on if you don't know when you're going to book, I might be backed up at that time, but I can at least put you on the schedule. But like,
if you lock you in for 18 months or whatever,
it's the same sort of thing. Now you've got the money that's sitting in your account, and you've got them on the books of like, I got to do their build at some point.
Yeah.
But like, you're locking people in by giving them like a deal. They think they're getting like, man, we got to take advantage of this now.
Interesting.
All right. So someone watching this video, what advice, if they're like looking to own their own business or get into entrepreneurship, what advice would you have them, take from this and as they kind of figure out like what their pricing should look like, depending on I mean, I know it's a hard question to answer because there's so many different fields, but like, I think just what are some key things to think about that you would take from this?
If you're anywhere near my field, I would say be really quick to your number. Whether that's putting pricing online, it's trickier for me, but like be fast to your number and then be super clear about what's clear and simple about what they're getting.
Yeah. Do not be confusing like T-Mobile.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And I guess for me, it would be, kind of like I was talking about, just like knowing what your number should be. So what your food cost should be at and like sticking to that. So if you have to raise your prices, I mean, you have to look at your competition and figure out, can you afford to do this? Are you going to lose business? I mean, that's a personal decision, but that's kind of what we've always done. We stick to what our numbers need to be, whether it's 28% food cost, 21, 22, we stick to that and it's worked out. So, not delaying just, dragging your feet on, should we do this? Should we not do it? Like make a decision and go with it, and don't be overly aggressive, because you can run into some of the risks that we talked about.
Yeah.
But like don't drag your feet and get it done,
Right.
So,
yeah, I think that's great.
Cool.
Well, thank you so much for listening.
Yeah.
This concludes episode 3.
Thanks for watching.
Make sure and subscribe, follow us, rate us on Apple and Spotify. That helps out a lot.
Yeah, and if you're curious about our personal channels, we'll have a link in the credit, or not a link, but we'll say what our tags are in the credits, so you can check those out.
Yeah, and follow along.
Yep.
Thanks again for watching and or listening.
Yep.